And I think we're live. Okay, welcome to the third installment of the big stream. That's right, there's been three of these things. One of them, the first one, it was audio-wise a terrible misfire. So maybe I shouldn't even say that. This is the first one, actually. This is the first time we're doing this. No, so for those of you tuning in, though, for the first time, I am John Negroni of Cinemaholics. Cinemaholics is a weekly podcast, and we're doing this new thing called the big stream to talk about other things that we don't have time for on the main podcast. And because I think it's kind of fun. And I really like talking about this stuff in real time. So please let me know. I'm still working out the technical kinks, still trying to figure out the best camera and lighting setup and stuff like that. My biggest issue, though, is audio. Audio has been a huge sticking point for sure. So if you are watching the stream and anything occurs with the audio that you hate, you despise, and you want to metaphorically throw tomatoes at me, please use the chat to throw those metaphorical tomatoes. I think you will be pleased if you do. Okay, so I'm just checking in on the stream real fast to see if anybody's on. Nobody's on. Great, nobody's watching yet. That makes me feel great. Hopefully somebody's going to jump on in a moment. I will definitely appreciate that. It is a Saturday, so I kind of understand people got stuff to do on Saturdays, but not me. I have been watching movie upon movie this week. It is December. Like a lot of other film critics, I like to cram a ton of films in this month because every year there's all these films people say are going to be on their top 10 list, and I would be remiss if I didn't join in on the fun and check those out. So that's what I've been up to, and that's why I'm doing this stream on a Saturday. I just finished watching 2 films in a row, and I'm ready to do something else, basically. So hopefully the stream will be lots of fun, and we're going to get right into it. I'm going to do a screen share. I hope this works. But yes, we're going to talk about the 52 things Disney just announced. So hopefully you can see this. This is from TheVerge.com. I do not like how many ads are on this website, but it's a pretty comprehensive list. It was kind of the best one I could find. And just to preface, I know a lot of these announcements. I covered a portion of them on my last stream, which was 2 days ago, which was like while this stuff was happening on Disney Investor Day. However, I ended the stream before it even ended. I kind of assumed it was over. We covered it, but then they kept announcing things, and they kept announcing things yesterday. So I thought it would be pretty appropriate to continue this. It's kind of like a part 2. And not only a part 2, but it's also like looping in some of the other things that I talked about on Thursday and maybe giving them some more context. Additionally, what'll be fun about this is, like my previous streams, I am looking at this pretty fresh. There's almost certainly going to be things here that I didn't even know about. There are some things that I've sort of gleaned from social media, but I haven't dug in on a lot of these quite yet, and this is my opportunity to do so. You get to enjoy my live reactions to these things. So let's kick things off here. So this is from a team of editors, writers from The Verge, Jay Peters, Guy Gartenberg, and Julia Alexander. So appreciate them doing all the hard work because there's a lot of announcements, and this is a great resource for you to check out on your own time if you want to dig even deeper. But okay, getting stuff out of the way. Yeah, there was a ton of Disney announcements. You probably already know about this on Investor Day. That was on Thursday. The biggest thing is they announced a ton of new shows and movies and sort of like franchise developments for Marvel, Star Wars, Pixar, Disney Animation, you name it. And one of the focal points of my previous stream too was talking about how a lot of this feeds into Disney's streaming strategy. So I talked a lot about Disney Plus and the future of it, Disney's theatrical strategy coinciding with Disney Plus and Hulu, and their new streaming service that is going to be for international audiences who don't have access to Hulu, which is going to be called Star. So we already talked about a lot of that. So for this, I kind of just want to get into the actual shows and movies, and so I think that'll be smart because we already covered the streaming big picture stuff. So look on this verdict, first thing they bring up is Marvel and the other Disney Plus series. Okay, so the first one, WandaVision. I already knew about this, but I know that there was a second trailer. I haven't seen this trailer yet. I want to. I do want to see this trailer. The only reason I haven't is because I feel like I already got a sense of what the show might be, at least on like a basic sense. Like I still think that it's very bizarre, and I have no idea what the show is actually like going to be presented as. But I got a vibe from that trailer that already sold me on watching this. So I have no reason to see the next like trailer. I know I'm going to watch this, so I'm just not going to see it. Better to see as fresh eyes as I can. But yeah, so WandaVision. It's going to be out on January 15th. I really am looking forward to it. I know a lot of people have said that it kind of to them represents maybe the future of like these Marvel properties being a bit more interesting than they've been in the past. I know for me personally, I definitely do not like the previous Disney strategy as it stands. It's been very all over the place with the Marvel films being just lots of different genres feeling kind of samey. But WandaVision looks like a very unique work. It looks very peculiar, which I am super into. Okay, Falcon and the Winter Soldier. I did see the trailer because I'm very curious, like, what is the setup here? And at the end of Avengers Endgame, of course, the shield gets passed over to the Falcon, but we kind of get this sense from this new series that's going to be on Disney Plus that it's going to be like a buddy action sort of thing with the Falcon and the Winter Soldier, and they're still sort of referred to as their current pseudonyms. None of them have become like Captain America. I know Falcon becomes Captain America, Winter Soldier becomes Captain America in the comics, and I think they're just sort of like teasing up like them taking on the mantle, maybe together, maybe separately over the course of the series, what have you. I did watch a trailer. Looks fun. Looks interesting. They really lean in on Falcon kind of being like the new Iron Man in terms of like the aeronautics being fun and all the armor stuff. But this isn't a series that really excites me all that much. I am gonna watch it just to fill in the blanks, but I'm definitely not like rushing to see this. I definitely don't think that this is going to be amazing. Okay, the Loki trailer. I did watch this morning, actually. There is a new trailer that came out this morning. I think it was this morning. Could have been yesterday, actually, where we get a first look at the Loki series, which is not supposed to be like a long-term thing. I think it's like, it says here, short series. Maybe it's like a mini series. I'm not sure what the details are on that. But this one's not going to be coming out for a while. It's going to not till May, so several months from now. And Tom Hiddleston, of course, is in it. We saw a lot of other faces. I only watched the trailer once, so there's a lot that kind of like flew by me, but it really did look kind of like Loki as Artemis Fowl almost. And I was kind of intrigued. I did enjoy this sort of like Owen Wilson kind of being in the mix, and that's fun. But okay, so checking in on the live stream, making sure I don't have any problems. Looks like we're good. Cool. Okay, back to it. Okay, so Hawkeye. This one I haven't been following as closely. I know Haley Steinfeld is supposed to be, I think, Kate Bishop. This is going to be fall 2021, late fall, so probably like November. And yeah, okay, yeah, just confirmation. Haley Steinfeld is in it. Sure, cool. We already know about this. What If? We've already known about this for a while as well. This is the like animated series that Marvel is doing, where we see like what if versions of like Marvel Cinematic Universe characters doing different things. Like I forget actually off the top of my head what some of them are. It's things that like if somebody else was Spider-Man and yeah, I'm blanking on a lot of the other things. It's basically putting these characters in like different situations and alternate situations, and yeah, I am looking forward to that. I think that would be fun, but yeah, no new content to speak of there. Okay, so it says here, Kevin Feige, also announced 3 new series coming to Disney Plus. Ironheart, set to star Dominique Thorne, engineering protege Riri Williams. So those of you who don't know, Ironheart is a young character who's sort of like the successor of Iron Man. And I haven't read those comics. I remember when those comics were coming out, a lot of us were kind of looking at them and being like, feeling like it was almost like Marvel was using the comics to lay the groundwork for characters that they would introduce into movies later on. They also do this with Miss Marvel, which I think is coming up here in the text. So this was expected for sure. I think people are really wanting fresh characters to start entering the MCU while still retaining the like legacy, the iconic imagery of the previous characters, right? So that's certainly the strategy here. It's pretty expected. Another thing here, Armor Wars, which examines one of Tony Stark's biggest fears and stars Don Cheadle, who's reprising his role as Rhodey. And Armor Wars. I know that's a comic series. I don't know much about it, but yeah, I think this is going to feature a lot of like Iron Man characters who aren't Iron Man. So obviously like War Machine. And again, I don't know too much about this comic series, so I can't really speculate too much on who else will show up in it. I guess you could maybe jump to the leap that they're going to include Gwyneth Paltrow somehow, who, I kind of get the inkling she is sort of done with these movies, but I don't know that for sure. It just, if you've seen her do like interviews about Marvel, she does not seem like she really like gives a, Okay, Secret Invasion. This is very interesting. This has been rumored, and I don't remember hearing this rumor personally, but yeah, this is a Nick Fury series. We'll see Samuel L. Jackson reprise his role as the Shield director. This I did not know that they are going to include Ben Mendelsohn's Talos, the scroll shapeshifter. It says skull in here. I've seen a couple of typos, but that's okay. The Verge did a lot of work, so we give them a lot of slack. No release dates for these, but yeah, Secret Invasion, it's interesting. I mean, we've gotten a ton of Shield stuff. Like Agents of Shield ran for what, 6-7 seasons. I can't say Shield is the thing that I care about the most right now, but I do like obviously those two characters. It's just fascinating to see these like big shows coming to Disney, right? Before we had things like Agents of Shield, which were so like ancillary to the Marvel Cinematic Universe. They were really like tucked in the corner, hidden away. Daredevil was like this, all the Defender stuff. But now they're doing shows that have like the mainstay Avengers characters like front and center between Loki and Nick Fury. And I guess you wouldn't call like Talos that, but like Falcon, Winter Soldier, War Machine. I mean, they're clearly like going all in on these character like series being like the main engine of this universe right now, especially with films not going to theaters. And it is a fascinating strategy. Not to dive too much into that conversation again, I'm definitely not more excited than I am skeptical. I like that they're going in this direction because the movies were already feeling episodic anyway. I think a lot of people will agree with that. So why not just do series? I guess you could argue that with all of these series, like it's too much. Like you're not going to be able to keep up. It's going to be this, it could lead to what happened with shows that were good but ignored, like the Agent Carter one, which just people felt like it was too much stuff to keep up with. And it has worked with like DC. The CW found a lot of success with the Berlanti universe. They really struck a good balance there. And especially because they didn't have like movies that they had to like tie in, like those shows could really just exist and do their own thing. I wonder how Marvel is going to balance the shows with the movies. It definitely looks like they have a plan. And in Kevin Feige, a lot of people trust, and rightfully so. The guy has definitely delivered from Marvel more than anyone could have possibly expected. Just looking at the Marvel franchise, like it or dislike it, it is clearly it's the success story cinematically of the 21st century by no small margin. The money it's created, the fandom it's generated, the goodwill these movies have with people in Hollywood and celebrities, it's unfathomable. I know film critics like to scoff a lot at Marvel. It's not cool to like the Marvel stuff, I guess, but when it comes to the mythology, this stuff is like pumping out these series and stuff. It definitely makes sense as a move. So I'm like more excited, maybe not excited, more interested than I am skeptical. Okay, that was a long rant for that stuff. Okay. Next up, we have casting announcements. Yeah, I mean, this isn't a lot of stuff to go through. Moon Knight, we already know, like Tatiana Maslany is going to be She-Hulk. Miss Marvel. I did see the like sneak peek of Miss Marvel. It looks fantastic. I'm so excited about it. Iman Vellani is going to be Kamala Khan, and I didn't know this. She's going to appear in Captain Marvel too. That's awesome. I thought it would be weird if they did the Miss Marvel thing and didn't have Brie Larson kind of in some sort of vague connection to Miss Marvel, because a lot of the thing with that character is that she's not necessarily the protege of Captain Marvel, I don't think, but really the sort of like it's hard to describe actually, because it's not like Robin to Batman for sure. She's not a sidekick. She is like her own like superhero. I guess you could compare it to Peter Parker and Iron Man in the Marvel films. It's supposed to be reminiscent of that. We don't know how they're going to handle this character relationship, if there even is one. I have a feeling that they're going to maybe lean more into Kamala Khan sort of I know they'll do this, but Kamala Khan will look at Captain Marvel as like her inspiration, and not have like that immediate mentor-mentee relationship. She's just going to be like a super fan who gets superpowers. Totally cool with that. I think that's really smart, especially if Captain Marvel is going to be off in like the recesses of the galaxy, right? And she can't come to Earth and like protect, and so Kamala Khan is like, I'll take care of it. I have a feeling that's how it's going to go down, and maybe they're going to set it up so the series like leans into her meeting Captain Marvel and Captain Marvel 2. That's one direction you could totally see going forward. It would be a huge fan service thing. It could be a big reason for people to be like, I love Miss Marvel from the show on Disney Plus. I got to watch Captain Marvel 2. Marketing. Yeah, and it even says here, Feige noted the shows will continue to interweave with the greater Marvel Cinematic Universe. Totally. Yeah, no doubt about that whatsoever. Okay, what's next here? Okay, Marvel Studios is working on a new Guardians of the Galaxy holiday special for Disney Plus, due out in 2022. Really? I didn't see that coming, but okay. James Gunn's directing. I hope it's like good production value, and I hope that it's like the Guardians of the Galaxy doing fun stuff. It says here the special will film alongside the upcoming Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. Yeah, so they're gonna like create this while they're creating the sequel, so that means like the budget and stuff might be able to like it won't be super expensive, right, for them to actually make this. That's interesting. I mean, it makes me think like how they could make fun of Star Wars a little bit, which is like their cousin, right, content wise. Where if this holiday special is kind of going to be sort of similar to like how they did the Lego holiday special, maybe be kind of self-aware. Sure, I'm into it. This thing, I Am Groot, a series of short films starring Groot. I haven't been into the Disney short films that have come out so far. There've been a bunch, and I'm not that into them. I know there was like the Forky one for Toy Story. Okay, sure, it's for the kids. Okay, movies. Here we go. Not a lot of movies compared to series. That's interesting. Feige confirmed that Black Panther 2 will not recast the late Chadwick Boseman's King T'Challa. Yeah, so I did see this on social media. The film, said to be directed by Ryan Coogler, is set for July 2022, and they're being mum on everything else. Yeah, that definitely vibes with what we know. That they clearly have an idea here. If they're going forward with production of what they want to do, no idea if it's going to actually like convalesce into what they have planned right now, but who knows what they're going to do here. I know some people have suggested maybe he'll be CGI. That seems to me that's pretty disrespectful. Someone take over the mantle from him is probably the most likely. With all the Letitia Wright drama that's been the past couple of weeks, I wonder if that's still going to happen with her, maybe with Shuri. Anybody's guess is as good as mine, but yeah, the recasting is confirmed to be off the table. I would be genuinely shocked if they reneged on that and decided, oh, actually, we are recasting. I don't think that's going to be the case. So it is an interesting problem for Marvel right now, and I'm sure some of you have some ideas of like who the next Black Panther could be, if not Shuri. I know some people have even talked about bringing Michael B. Jordan back and having him, like, if he survived the first movie, it would be kind of a silly thing, but we are dealing with like alternate universes and stuff. And I'm not gonna lie, I mean, having Michael B. Jordan be Black Panther, like be Black Panther instead of the villain, that's really interesting. You're taking arguably the biggest strength of the first movie and then framing it around him in the next movie. And it could be like a Jack Sparrow sort of thing, although he wasn't really the villain of that film. Of course, it was more of an ensemble thing. But where you take the character that everybody loved and then you set too much attention on them. It's like the Finding Dory thing or the Cars 2 thing, to use two Pixar examples. But yeah, I'm curious, does anybody else like that idea? Just me? Yeah? Okay. A third Ant-Man film, Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania. I love this name. It's so fascinating to me. First of all, that it's like not just Ant-Man, Quantumania, but they're keeping Wasp in there. That's the right call, because they really are like a superhero duo. They always have been. So I'm glad that they're leaning into that. You need both of those characters, because what's works so well about that is the relationships he has with people in like his super family, and that's always been what's drawn the character to me. I have more of a relationship with Ant-Man in like TV shows and video games than I do like comics, but definitely like all of the like stories around Ant-Man and Wasp, and I gotta say, this quantum thing, it's so funny that they're taking a joke that a lot of people made in the second film where quantum gets mentioned all the time and turning it. I just love that title. It's like, yeah, it's Ant-Man. Like, we have fun with Ant-Man. Ant-Man is not to be taken seriously. Done. Okay, what else we got? Oh yeah, Peyton Reed is going to be directing for the third time. Yeah, keep him hired, I guess. Paul Rudd, Evangeline Lilly, Michael Douglas, and Michelle Pfeiffer. Yeah, so the whole team is back. Who else do we got? Oh, Jonathan Majors, which, okay, that's interesting, because I think he's supposed to be in the Fantastic Four film as well as King the Conqueror. So it looks like Ant-Man and Fantastic Four are going to collide in some sort of way, because Jonathan Majors is, I believe he's in the Fantastic Four one. If I'm remembering off of social media, so I could be totally wrong about that, but I'm fairly certain that is going to be the case, and that makes sense. King is a huge villain, would be cool if it was like sort of like that connective tissue where he's not just in one film but in two, and then they could add in other villains, you know. What else we got here? Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness, one of my most anticipated Marvel movies, if not my most. I think my most is probably Thor Love and Thunder, but Doctor Strange is pretty close behind just because the multiverse stuff, especially how it could correlate with WandaVision. I'm super into that. And even says here, yeah, we'll tie in to both the upcoming WandaVision and Sony and Marvel's third Spider-Man movie. Yeah, we've been seeing a lot of memes to that effect where it seems like everybody's in Spider-Man. Forget the traffic. What else? The studio also confirmed that Benedict Cumberbatch's Doctor Strange will be appearing in the still unnamed Spider-Man sequel. I mean, yeah, who isn't? Tobey Maguire is supposed to be in that. Gosh, what else? Andrew Garfield, Alfred Molina is supposed to be in that. Oh my gosh, it's so funny. There's so many things. That there's so many people that are going to be in that. Let's see here. Marvel Studios is developing a new Fantastic Four film. Yep, absolutely. I am so excited about this, and I'm one of those people who loves Fantastic Four so much. I think it is just such a funny, wonderful, like little universe, and I love the idea of it actually like being done correctly, because I'm not one of those people who hated Fantastic Four, like Fant Four Stick, what people call it, in 2015. I honestly thought it was just fine. It's like kind of like a C plus movie. People kind of came down hard on it though because it was pretty embarrassing. But I guess like the weird, goofy energy of Fantastic Four is something that I find very endearing. I'm not gonna lie. So Marvel taking a swing at it. Yeah, a lot of people have been asking about for this sort of thing to happen for a long time. I'm just fascinated by what the casting is going to be once they start rolling into that. I think at this point, we only know that Jonathan Majors is going to be in it as Kang the Conqueror. So that's all the Marvel stuff. They don't do like a number tally. They just said 52 things. Okay, well, I don't know how much stuff we've already gone through. We probably have like a billion other things. I don't even know if I'll get through all of it, but we'll try. Lucasfilm. So this is all the Star Wars stuff. So, okay, Disney not only announced that roughly 10 Star Wars series are coming to Disney Plus, but it also gave some early details about a few of those series products. Yeah, no kidding. Like so many things. They're calling this Lucasfilm too because Indiana Jones falls under Lucasfilm. And so they announced that is in pre-production. So they haven't started shooting yet. If it's going to be released in July 2022, that means they're probably going to be shooting this thing in the springtime, if not earlier. They could do the summer, but for a film as big and audacious as Indiana Jones, as I don't know, I feel like summer's kind of cutting it close. Lucasfilm is pretty good about shooting, like they know what they're doing basically in terms of like post-production, but yeah, if they want that summer release date, they're probably going to want to do like focus screenings and stuff in like the early spring. So yeah, they need to get going on the Indiana Jones production. I have a feeling, based on the news we got about Shia LaBeouf this week, that he's not coming back as the son of Indiana Jones. Just a guess. Even if all that FK Twig stuff didn't come out, where he's being accused of like abuse and all of that, even if that hadn't come out, I don't think that he would be brought back on, honestly. Even though I think some people would find that kind of fun, pre all of that. Okay, let's get into Star Wars stuff. There's Star Wars Disney Plus series. There's a whole bunch of them. And in this article, they start off with the two that I think are probably the most intriguing for the most amount of people, arguably. And that's because they coincide with Disney Plus's like flagship show, The Mandalorian. The Mandalorian, let's just be clear, is probably the biggest show of 2020. I think that the pop culture relevance it has with people internationally is not to be taken lightly. Like, this show is just massive. And Disney knows that. And so they're expanding this interconnected show universe a bit more. Now, to be clear, not all of these series are supposed to coincide. And so that's why The Verge starts here, where they're just talking about things that are set in the Mandalorian time. So put another way, there is a section of the Star Wars universe of shows where the Mandalorian is going to cross over with two other shows. There are a bunch of other Star Wars shows, but they're in like totally other, like different eras, different timelines, different animation, different live action aesthetics. It's all separate, right? It is a little confusing, not but yeah, it's it's definitely I don't want to say ideal for now, but it's what we have for now. So look that way. But let's see here. Yeah. So Rangers of the New Republic and Ahsoka. I already talked about this in the previous stream. We don't know too much about these. We really don't know much about Rangers of the New Republic. We know that these characters are out in the Outer Rim patrolling. We met a couple of them, I think, in Mandalorian. They seemed like they're what the Rangers are. It seems like that they also kind of seem like Rogue Squadron because they were pilots, but I just assume, and maybe I'm totally off base here, I just assume that like Rangers of the New Republic just references like people like these like fighter pilots. It could be something totally different, honestly. It could be like Rebel or New Republic commandos or some generic thing, but I like the idea of it being like the new Rogue Squadron. That's what I'm hoping for. And then Ahsoka, yeah, so Rosario Dawson's going to be reprising her role as Ahsoka. She showed up for one episode in Mandalorian, was pretty great to watch. And yeah, I mean, it makes a lot of sense that, you know, they went into this kind of testing out how she would go over with the Mandalorian audience. It went over really well. It was a very thrilling episode. It's my favorite episode of the Mandalorian series, both seasons. And so I'm not surprised. I mean, Rosario Dawson is a huge name. Great get for them casting wise. She can absolutely head up her own series. And this is the one that I think could easily outperform, or not outperform, overshadow The Mandalorian, at least for me. It could be the show that really takes Star Wars to a really interesting place. Not because she's a Jedi, and like, sure, I am kind of sick of the whole Jedi thing, but she's a very interesting kind of Jedi. She's not a Jedi who's like, you know, really like part of the mainstream order. She's very critical of the Jedi. She's a character who kind of believes in the ideals, but kind of does her own thing. And that is, to me, an interesting avenue for a show. What is a person like that? What is their story going to be like? What parts of the galaxy are they going to go to? How is she going to interact with other characters? That stuff's really fascinating to me. Whereas Mandalorian, I feel like, is getting close to running its course. I think that, you know, we have one episode left, and you can only do that shtick so much. The Western, you know, space Western thing that they're doing. There can only be so many times that, you know, the child gets kidnapped, and, you know, there's a side quest and there's a mission, and, you know, Mando is like bringing together people, and they're checking off so many things off their checklist of like what this character is going through for his arc, that I just don't see it going past a third season. And they are going to have a third season. I could, you know, if I was the showrunner, critically speaking, I would want The Mandalorian to end after the second season. Honestly, I think that the story is like about to reach its natural conclusion. But, you know, I say that as somebody who's watching. I don't know what they have in mind overall. It could be something really amazing. But if there is I know there's going to be a third season, but upon the third season, I think that the show either needs to end or take it into an interesting new place and do it effectively, which is really hard to do. That's kind of why I'm not advocating that, because it's like, yeah, that would be a real struggle for that show to keep going after, you know, it could be the victim of its own success. But anyway, that's a conversation for another day. Star Wars: The Bad Batch. This looks interesting. So this is like the sequel series to Clone Wars, which it like is supposed to be centering on like a group of clones. I think that they like don't go along with the Empire, right? So they're the Bad Batch, and this is cool. I mean, a lot of people look at Star Wars Rebels as kind of the sequel to Clone Wars because it's chronologically after, and you know, it's about the rebellion and all that, same animation style. But yeah, this is supposed to be like directly after, and that's pretty cool. I mean, we don't see a ton of stuff that in Star Wars that takes place like during Order 66, especially from the clones' perspective. So that's interesting. I'm into that. Sure, and the trailer's good. Star Wars Andor, also talked about this the other day. This is Diego Luna coming to his own show. Okay, yeah, I talked about this. I feel like it's a little bit like, what do you do with that kind of story? The only reason I'm interested is because I really like Diego Luna. I just watched Wander Darkly, and that movie was really interesting to watch, and I have a lot of thoughts about it. But yeah, this show's 2022. It's a bit ways away. We'll find out more stuff soon, and I think that'll probably get us more interested as we go on. Okay, I've been wanting to know about this, The Acolyte. I haven't known anything about this until now, so I'm reading this for the first time. So this is a new Star Wars series helmed by Russian Doll creator Leslie Headland. That's interesting. Russian Doll is that Netflix series. You know, I haven't watched it. I've heard it's fantastic. It does like the sort of like Groundhog's Day thing, I think. And I love the meme. Thursday when it comes out to all this stuff. I got to get. This is a sign that I got to get into Russian Doll. Sure. This is set in the High Republic era of the franchise, and this will be on Disney Plus. So yeah, High Republic. I think that era is like before the prequels, right? Where it's like the Old Republic, and it's like when the Jedi, like it's like the aftermath of when they defeat the Sith Empire, whatever it is, and they like really like control everything, and it's like right before the prequels were the beginning of their end. But okay. Hayden Christensen is returning as Darth Vader in Obi-Wan Kenobi. Yep, I already talked about this the other day. A droid story. Didn't really get into this one. This is a new project. They're just saying project, and so we don't really know like what kind of thing it is. It's apparently a series. It could be a mini series, a bunch of shorts. We don't know. But yeah, it's going to be R2D2 and C3PO doing stuff. I'm curious about this. Like, is it going to be animated? Is it going to be live action? I don't know. This feels a little bit like a throwaway. Like this is the kind of thing where I would be surprised if they like nixed it at some point. But yeah, who knows? This concept seems a little half baked to me. Star Wars Lando also talked about this. They're calling this a new event series. Okay. That's all we know. We don't know if this is going to be Donald Glover's Lando Calrissian. We don't know if it's going to be Billy D. Williams. I mentioned the other day, I'm much more interested in going the Donald Glover route. But sure, if they decide to do like the post Rise of Skywalker era, that would be a direction, I suppose. And kind of off topic a little bit, but a lot of people say that the Clone Wars, what that does really well, and Clone Wars and Rebels helps sort of like fix problems that people have with the prequels. I haven't seen, all of Clone Wars or all of Rebels, but I kind of get that, right? Like it sort of like gives more time to this era and avoids a lot of the prequel problems and maybe like contextualizes them in a more interesting way. So if there was a show that was going to come out after Rise of Skywalker, could they do that? Could they create something that maybe is like the Clone Wars for the new trilogy that could maybe like, I don't know, better explain some of the weird Palpatine stuff, a lot of the things that we didn't, a lot of us didn't like. I'm not sure, but we don't know if this Lando thing is going to be, and we don't know what era it's going to be in. We don't know anything. I definitely don't. Star Wars Visions. Yeah, we talked about this one too. This is an anime anthology, which I like the idea of Star Wars anime for sure. I have a feeling Disney probably saw those like YouTube videos where like people made like Star Wars anime openings, and those are super fun if you can find them. I love them. They're super funny. Funny and like genuinely epic. Like you go to the comments of those things and people are like, this should actually happen. I'm speculating, but I could definitely see like somebody at Disney looking at that and being like, we could do that. Sure. But we don't know if this will be like an original sort of like story or a group of anthology. But if it's anthology, it could be like, vignettes from like throughout Star Wars that they turn into anime. That would be pretty fascinating, actually. Like take things like A New Hope, for example, and like turn it into an anime. Sure, like why not? Like you have like a whole season of that. Maybe you have like just an episode where it's like an anime. It's just the end of like the fandom menace. Like that'd be pretty cool. Okay, so now we're getting into the movies. I think we did go through most of, if not all of these. Oh no, there's one we didn't. Okay, so the first one we did talk about, Rogue Squadron, which is the Patty Jenkins one. So Patty Jenkins directed Wonder Woman 1984 and Monster, and yeah, she's going to be doing the new Star Wars movie. And it's interesting that this is the next Star Wars movie, right? It's kind of funny. I mean, Rogue One was right after Force Awakens, so there is like a Rogue after, whatever. But yeah, so this is going to be out in December 2023. So it's a long ways out. I'm actually kind of surprised they're announcing this now. It seems like they, going by previous, like, I guess they have announced things like years in advance. I'm thinking more of like when they were shooting like Force Awakens and like that was announced like 2 years before it came out. And this is like 3 years. But at the same time, they did announce things like Rogue One, things like that pretty early. So I guess this kind of fits that mold. Disney also discussed the untitled Taika Waititi Star Wars movie. Yeah, we've been looking forward to that one for sure. Yeah, that was announced in May. Man, feels like it was way longer ago, but that's what 20 is like. Yeah, it's still development. Yeah, they haven't shot it yet. And if it's not, it doesn't have a name, and we don't know anything about it. I think that it's safe to say this one doesn't come out until 2024. So yeah, they're probably still figuring this thing out. They're probably figuring out Taika Waititi's schedule too, because the guy's making plenty of other stuff. Okay. Now we're on to Disney Animation and Pixar. Hey, separate it out. Show some respect. I mean, I know Disney Animation, Pixar is like technically Disney and animation, but it's not Walt Disney Animation. It's a different studio. Whatever. I'm being pedantic. Oh, and I should probably take a quick look, make sure the stream is going okay. Looks like we got some views and stuff. That's fun. Okay. Let's get to it. Disney Animation. So yeah, they have a bunch of stuff, and I didn't talk about all of this. In fact, there's a bunch of stuff on here I did not talk about, mainly because it got announced like right after the stream. In my defense, I think we might have mentioned Raya and the Last Dragon the other day, but in case we didn't, I'm forgetting. I think we did actually because we talked about the Premiere Access thing. Yeah, that's still on track to come out in March, sort of the same like release date as Onward this past year. This is looking cool, but you know it's going straight to Disney Plus, and I don't know. Man, I'm just getting a little annoyed at this point. Like, why are the animated things getting sent directly to Disney Plus? Like, between this and Soul and then Onward getting shuffled to Disney Plus, I know that there was a reason for that. But man, I can't just wait. I don't know. This seems to me like something that belongs on the big screen. And I understand that Disney doesn't want to keep losing money, especially if they have plans to incorporate Raya and the Last Dragon and the parks and things like that. They can't really keep delaying this thing forever, but yeah, it's just a bit of a bummer. I hope that they do release it internationally, at least, in theaters, but who knows. Baymax. This one's interesting, right? There's already a Big Hero 6 show, but they're making a new one? Okay. Yeah, early 2022. Don't know anything about it. I have a feeling that it's going to be like a bigger budget than the Big Hero 6 series. And if it's about Baymax, I'm just curious what that's going to be about. Yeah, intriguing. I'm not super excited about this one, but I definitely am ready to learn more for sure. I could be excited, Zootopia Plus. What? Zootopia Plus. Is that just like a self-aware thing because Disney Plus? Okay, a new series based on Zootopia. This makes a lot of sense. I know I've been wondering for the longest time when they're just going to announce this. I mean, Zootopia was a huge hit, huge. And I wonder if they were just waiting for like the right conditions, because a like small kind of show like Big Hero 6 on Disney Channel, that kind of thing, Zootopia could probably do way bigger than that, right? That's not unprecedented necessarily. Like How to Train Your Dragon was a pretty big deal, but it wasn't $1 billion movie though, to be fair. And they had their like Netflix show. But yeah, if there is like a Zootopia show, I could totally see this being like really heavily marketed, a lot of money put into it. It's probably obviously not going to be like the same animation sort of budget, but they could definitely take this in a really cool direction for Disney Plus. It could be like a big hit for them. That's spring 2022. So they're already working on this thing. They probably already got like the first season ready to start like the post work, at least most of it. Tiana. So this one's I saw this one after the stream. Very interesting that they're doing something with Princess and the Frog, and yeah, it's going to be 2023. I don't know what I want from this yet. I don't know if I want it to be live action or if I want. Oh, I know it's not going to be live action because it's Disney animation. I don't know if they specified though. But yeah, okay. Let's just say that it's animated. I would really like this to be hand drawn because that to me is like the big charm of that film. I do really like the Tiana character. I like the Charlotte character. I don't love the main love interest. I don't even remember his name, honestly. And I hope this gets away from the frog princess stuff, because that was the most boring aspect of it. I mean, I've made fun of this before, but the whole thing with like characters turning into animals, I'm just sort of like about. And I know we're gonna talk about the Pixar thing soon, where I have slightly complex feelings on that, to be honest. But the Tiana thing, yeah, I don't know. I love though the potential, because a Disney princess thing set in New Orleans and during the jazz era, they really did, like, the movie definitely covers that extensively to a point that I really enjoy. But they could do so much more. They could do so many cool stories with this, especially like with the voodoo stuff and like maybe a successor to that villain. Oh man, a Tiana show. I actually, compared to the Zootopia and Baymax one, maybe rivals Zootopia Plus in terms of potential. Because Utopia, obviously, like you have this huge city. There's tons of stories you can do with that. But Tiana kind of like covers like things that I personally just really love creatively, like jazz and that era in New Orleans. Okay, and then we have a long form musical comedy series. Long form, so it's like 45 minutes. Musical comedy series for Moana. hitting Disney Plus in 2023. Yeah, I mean, they're definitely. I mean, I would be shocked if they don't bring back Aoi Carvalho, who voiced her. She's still been working the past few years. She's been doing like things here, things there. She had like a Netflix movie that was kind of a musical. She has an amazing voice. She has a ton of talent. She has a huge Instagram following, and I think that she is somebody that Disney Plus or Disney wants to definitely keep on retainer, because she is like such a that they delivered through Moana was my favorite film of that year. And a comedy series from Moana, it makes sense. I mean, they're voyagers. They go to different places. You can have Moana show up and go to different things. They could get somebody else to fill in for The Rock for Maui. It doesn't have to be him. It would be hard to replace him for sure, but I mean, it's The Rock. I don't think that they have, the ability to bring him on. And Maui is such a big part of like that universe. I think it would be hard to like sideline him, where it's like, oh, well, we want The Rock, so we're only gonna have Maui show up a few times. I don't know. I don't see that happening if they want to like maintain what people love about the movie. It really is, what's great about that movie is the dynamic between Moana and Maui. They're like, they're buddies. It's super platonic, which is a more fun avenue. They don't like lean into the obvious romance stuff, which would be kind of weird too. I mean, he's like 1,000 years old or whatever. But yeah, I definitely think that those characters work well together. So I hope they continue to do so. Okay, and then something called Encanto, which is a new movie set in Colombia with music written by Lin-Manuel Miranda. I'm really into this. The Colombian vibe is something I'm super into. What the heck? Why is that showing up? We kind of have to rush through this because I have to finish out. But Iwaju, an original long-form series made in partnership with Kugali Media. This is the first time hearing about this. I have no idea what that is, so I'm going to have to investigate. And then I think we're going to be done with this stuff. But Pixar, there's going to be a bunch of new Spark Shorts stuff. Spark Shorts is really cool, obviously. There's going to be Burrow. I didn't know this was going to be coming this soon. I thought Burrow was coming a little later. But then we also have Pixar Popcorn. I haven't heard about this yet, but these are like short